Next slide. Be careful with the dating. Be careful with the dating and girl advice you get from buddies and from the internet. A lot of men don't even like women. And you do kind of see this in our little world. It's funny because, you know, my basic default, even as much as I know it's not accurate, is I always think people think like I do. You know, I mean, I had been training into my 40s before I realized, like, not really anyone ever actually exercises. It's just us. It's like this tiny group of outliers who actually have exercised since the age of 14, and they tend to do something every day, or you're in the business. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you think is normal that is actually extremely rare. I mean, far less than 1% of the population exercises on a regular basis. And most people, like 90%, are fat or overweight or obese. So if you're not, and you actually do take care of you, you're in this teeny tiny, microscopic, literally, when people go, well, you know, how many people exercise? I said, well, no one exercises, literally. I mean, it's you and it's me. And we think it's everybody else because it's everybody around us, our friends and our family. But basically no one does. You know, if you ask, you know, 1,000 strangers you meet today, you would find 3 people, maybe, you know, depending on where you're at, that actually exercise. They'll hem and haw about it. But the point is that if you like women and, you know, you focus in and you either had some natural gifts, or you have game, or you have a combination of both, which is what's most common, you realize that, like, you like women, you find them interesting and attractive and worth some investment. But most guys, the vast majority of guys out there, the vast majority, not that interested. They're okay if it falls in their lap. They're going to need to get married at some point so they can get their parents off their back, or so their sister will quit, you know, bitching at them like, when are you going to get a girlfriend? He's like 32 and, you know, still going to work and no prospects. But most men, they just want to get up. They want to go to work. They want to come home. They want to get high or get drunk or both and pursue their hobbies, be it, you know, radio controlled airplanes or trains or video games. I mean, or their car, their motorcycle, or hunting and fishing, or, you know, ham radio. I mean, any hobby. Disc golf is a big one. I mean, there's just so much. And guys want to really, they don't really like women. They're like, if it falls in my lap, if she doesn't bitch at me too much, I can stand her. But generally, it's not that interesting. They don't care about attraction and seduction. In the far end, and even some guys in our little world, or I would say adjacent to our world, they don't even like women really. They've had bad experiences. They want to manage them. They know that they're a necessary part of their life. They have a sex drive that it has to be met, but they want to have as little to do with them as possible. And that's okay. But you have to recognize that. And generally, you'll have womanizers, which is what we fall under, you know, guys that are interested in women and how to move them from complete strangers to in your bed, and how to have good relationships and long-term relationships, and what is better, marriage or, you know, cohabitating. There's options. But for a lot of guys, their goal is, we're womanizers, and they're hobbyists. They are guys that enjoy their hobbies. They tend to, and trying to make as much money as humanly possible is a hobby for a lot of guys, or cars are a hobby. You have womanizers where I guess kind of your hobby is women. And then you have true, pure hobbyists who women are a necessary evil, or something they would rather not work with. They want women, but they don't want women to be. That's correct. They want to get what we kind of describe what a lot of these guys, the hobbyists, will be looking for in a woman. And they're basically looking for a dude that you can have sex with, which, you know, is where they're at. And a lot of this, I'm sure, is very hardwired and their experience combined. Because when I say like most guys, it's kind of like fitness again. You know, we like to work out. You enjoy the process of exercise. Most guys do not. They will not exercise. They're never going to go to the gym. They're never going to do anything regularly. And that's most people. And most men are not that interested in women. They're not interested in seduction. They're not interested in being around them. They like their hobbies. They like their drugs and their alcohol. And they'd like to not get bitched at. So that's really the big three, you know, that they're looking for in a day, is to be able to get drunk or high, to be able to pursue their hobbies, and for their wife or girlfriend to not bitch at them. So that's the, you know, we're talking about like a low bar. So they, like he said, like Baron Gaslight says, you know, they don't want women to be women. That's in our world. On the womanizer side, you kind of recognize how they're wired, their environment, how they're different than men. So it doesn't mean we always manage it perfectly, but it just means that we're aware of it and we kind of deal with it in a different manner. We manage it. But again, you have to be careful, because some of the hobbyists look like womanizers or look like players or playboys from the outside. But once they open their mouth, you never actually hear anything good about women. And generally, they're easiest to spot if they focus in on mission, the mission, your mission. Well, a lot of guys' mission is they get up and they go to work at the Gas and Sip, and then they play video games for 23 hours. That's their mission. I mean, that's the vast majority of guys' mission, is a minimum job that they don't have to think about, and playing video games for any remaining time that they're awake, and then they sleep for 3 hours and get up and get high and go back to work. That's most men's mission. So if you have a mission guy, a hobby guy, you're going to recognize that relatively quickly, because anything about women will be their negatives and how to manage the negatives of women. Not really a lot about how to meet them, how to recognize high quality women, how to discern women, how to seduce women, how to manage women, how to manage many women, how to manage one woman. So that will be what you'll see in the production from womanizers, seducers, and players. So mostly it comes down to, you see it go in either direction, and you need to be careful, because bad information can be as bad as can be actually be worse than no information, because it's damaging. You get bad information about like moving a girl, like somebody wants to get married, but they get a hobbyist in front of them, and the hobbyist is like, yeah, don't get married. Don't ever get married. And the guy's like, dude, I don't want to raise my kids. You know, they're all bastards. You know, I mean, you have to know what you want, or know that there are options available. And then you get presented with the best information and advice, and then you make your final decision. But again, you want to be careful, because a lot of men, especially in this, you know, in general, don't even like women. And like Baron Gaslight says, they don't even want women to be women. So know where you're at, and know who you're talking to, or know who you're facing. And that way you'll make your best decisions. Be careful with the dating and girl advice you get from buddies in the internet. A lot of men don't even like women. Very, very smart. Keep that